Welcome to Goldboys Live, presented by Pickett Sports. Brian versus the Brooks. Brad Thomas, a crazy night in the NBA. 2 games tonight. Where do you guys want to start? What's going on? I guess we'll just give the floor to Brian here. James Harden. Jimmy Harden, take it away, man.
I just realized I'm not wearing anything Sixers. I don't know why I didn't think of this. But yeah, what a game. I was watching it with my brother, and I will say it can't be overstated how fun it is to watch your team in a game like that. It was back and forth, and you just get so much excitement out of it. I hate the idea where I know Giannis's comments about failure and stuff like that, but as a fan, like win or lose the whole thing, like those kind of moments are really fun to watch. So that was a great game to watch. I kind of was at that point where I was watching that game thinking we either better win this game or I'll be mega sad because I would have much rather checked out in the fourth quarter than to be this invested. But yeah, I don't know if you saw the ESPN analysis, belly laughing at James Harden saying like, there's no way he's going off, and he responded really well with that. So that was a fun game to watch.
Yeah, that was a fun game. So I went to a bar with my two boys, one's Philly, one's Boston, and I wanted to be kind of loaded up on props so I could have fun. I was yelling at the TV, and the guys at the bar next to me were like, "Hey, man, I can't figure out which team you're rooting for." I had Brogdon points, Harris points, Reed points and rebounds, and Harris points and rebounds. And so I was just yelling the whole time. But one thing that I said, I was like, "Oh no, that part of the game has happened where Jason Tatum just sits in the corner."
Yeah,
And you can see it happening. But I don't even think that was like the biggest flaw of the Celtics. I think their biggest flaw was like, at what point do you say someone else on this 76ers team is going to beat us and send a double? Like,
yeah. I'm surprised they didn't double earlier, because usually without Joel Embiid, I figured they were going to double Harden all night. And they started they started to cheat a little bit on Harden, but they never fully blitzed him. So yeah, it was interesting, and especially because it was a close game. But if you watched, obviously, because you did watch, but Tyrese Maxey missed 3 wide open threes.
Terrible.
He like, it was weird. He went through spurts where he looked like the best player on the court, and then he looked like he couldn't hit the broadside of a barn. He was going like this up and down. But that's what I was telling my family when I was watching the game with my brothers, is that the Sixers won by 4, but I feel like they could have really done more damage if Maxey hit. Like, he had 3 possessions in a row where they kind of cheated on Harden, and he had that wide open step in 3. And I was like, dude, if he hits 2 of those, this is a different game. So I do think it was one where it was surprising to see how well the Sixers fared.
Yeah, and it was probably trouble at halftime. They were either up 2 or 4. It went from 62 to 50 to like 62-60. It might have been 64-60 to half. It looked like Boston was just going to run them out, and they couldn't do it. Lead. What was it?
I think it was 3-point halftime lead.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. I think it was 4, but regardless.
Yeah. Actually, it might have been. I think it was definitely. It might have been 2, because I remember.
Yeah, I just think
it was 8 points, and me and my brother. I remember. I remember it because I was saying, get it within 5, and I remember saying, well, how about 3 or how about 2? So it was definitely within 4. So it was a good run by the Sixers to close it out. So
Brad was right. It was 3.
Yeah,
breaking news. The internet has been invented, so we were able to look it up.
Yeah, that's crazy.
We're just all guessing.
We were all going to guess for the rest of the show. Yeah, so it was one of those things where the only thing I did not like from that game is how people can spin things in terms of, I'm seeing all these posts saying like, oh, the Sixers are better without Joel Embiid. And I'm like, did you watch that defense that we played? I was like, it took Harden to score 45, Maxey to score 26, Melton hit 5 threes. Yeah. And I was like, if you think we're going to replicate that again, good luck, man, because the Boston Celtics shot 60% yesterday. That's not a winning formula at all.
Yep, that's what I was going to say. Celtics were shooting about 99% at halftime and only up 3 or 4 points, whatever it was, 3 points. So that was a concerning sign. Even that, I mean, they had the ball up 4 late. They had a chance to extend the lead. They had up 1. That was one of the worst turnovers you ever see. The pick 6 by Maxey. But going forward here, betting the betting aspect of it, Celtics minus $1.80 to win the series. Funny, Celtics were minus 250 to win the East. I saw one legal book yesterday, but they are minus 180 to win the series. Sixers plus 150. Who do you guys think wins the series?
Celtics win the series.
Okay.
Is
180 enough to jump in on?
I already have Celtics and I think at minus 160. I parlayed in with Manchester City. I posted in Goldboys. But that was more of like me hedging, because remember I told you I have 76ers to win the East at plus 400. I was hoping for a better number so I could kind of just win 2 units regardless. but minus 180, I can't get a better. I can't hedge fully to win 2 units regardless.
If you had nothing right now, would you lay the minus 180?
Yes.
Okay.
If I had nothing, I would.
Brian, what's your take? Where's the series go from here?
I would say this. I would have liked to take the Sixers plus 1.5, not to win the whole thing, but it's not offered. Like I looked on FanDuel, they offer all these spreads for the series. And
I'm sure it was offered before the series.
They have it now. They didn't have it last night, but yeah,
Okay.
the Sixers it's minus 170. I wouldn't take that. I was hoping that maybe I can get better odds, but I do think that the Sixers winning buys Joel Embiid until Friday. I don't think he has to play game 2 now. If he can come back Friday 1-1 and be relatively healthy, I do like the chances for the Sixers, but as I mentioned, it took literally every improbable thing for the Sixers to somehow win that game. But I will credit Doc Rivers. I said this before the game. I said it on the show with Ryan. I like that Doc Rivers had those rotations because when you're playing against the Celtics, you saw it with the Hawks when they did it with Clint Capella. And when I mentioned on the show that he's the first guy off the court, taking Paul Reed out of the game, despite he was doing well, that lineup where they ran PJ at the 5, Toby at the 4, Milton at the 3, it's just like you're not going to beat the Celtics by going big. So you just got to outpace them. So that's really what happened is that they just outpaced them and they put up more points, which usually the Sixers are the team that plays more grinding defense. But going small really was effective against the Celtics. So I think if they can keep that up, they have a fighting chance. But obviously you need Joel Embiid to be somewhat healthy to close out.
We mentioned how it's wide open. There's no great teams. I guess people would probably still say the Celtics are the best team. The Celtics within a 5 or 6 day stretch now, 5-day stretch, have lost 2 games as double-digit favorites. The Hawks is 13-point favorites a week ago, and then they lost as 10.5-point favorites last night. So,
and they had big leads in both games.
There's some exactly. There's something missing.
I credit the Sixers though, because that was the big thing. Is did it ever get past 10 or 12 last night?
Like 10 was
like 12 was the high.
Yeah,
I know it was
because like that's
yeah,
so
12,
big in this league. Is that's so big, especially as underdogs. You just got to make sure you stay within striking distance, and they did a great job, and they just let the rest take over.
Celtics minus 9.5 tomorrow. Do we agree that what's going to happen is what usually happens, where the team that loses game 1 at home rolls in game 2? Is that what we think?
Yeah, especially if I don't think Embiid doesn't have to play. The only reason Embiid would play is that if he's, like I said this before, he only plays if he's like 100% good to, like if he like is that healthy, which I don't think he is, then there's no point to hold him out if you don't have to. But I don't think he's at that point, so I don't think he plays.
I'd even think about sitting maybe Harden. I know you can't do that, but I want to rest him as much. So I think, I don't know if the props are up yet. I'd look at a Harden under because I think you got to be careful of his minutes. He's so much better when he's rested. If you get behind early, you know what? I'm not going to run this guy into the ground with 42 minutes. I'll play him 23 minutes and we'll get ready for game 3 where
it's
we're
almost like
home court now.
It's like we talked about earlier. I think we talked about the some other series. It's one of those things where if the Sixers can keep within that striking distance, you go for the win. But if it ever gets to that point where you're down 15, there's no point. And like even the Suns did against the Nuggets that for game 1, they played starters a lot longer than I thought they were.
I don't think that guy's a good coach, man. I don't like Williams.
I think the Sixers do the opposite. If they're down 15 in the 4th, I don't think Doc Rivers is gonna have a problem saying, "Hey, Maxi's playing 44 minutes, Harris is playing 45, Harden is running to the ground. Like let's get these guys out and ready for next time."
Yeah, Mazzulla looks a little shaky too. I think I've never been a huge Doc fan, but I think Doc might be a little better than Mazzulla. At least he's got the experience edge, man.
I'm just saying a lot.
Horford trying to guard Harden at the end
for 24 seconds. Like
I will say that was crazy that Horford was on Harden, only because it was an ISO look where it wasn't like there wasn't time for a switch.
Yeah,
like there was time to make that switch and they didn't. But the last thing I'll say about this game is I did take Maxey over 23.5 points, so that was a nice win. But at halftime, he was picking it up a little bit. Like when you start to get that vibe, he's picking it up. I took him over 19.5 live, and then I sprinkled on 25 plus at like plus 300 live for fun. So that pick 6 happened in like slow motion as a bettor and a fan, because he was at 24 and he ended at 26, so I needed the 1 point. So that was like a slow motion like dunk for me where everything was coming to pieces and I was like, we get the lead, it was a great play.
I thought he might milk some clock too because there was nobody around him. I thought he might just dribble around.
I will say that's what my cousin said, because he texted me. He was pissed about that, and I was like, I think it's different. I think if you're down, you need to just get those points. I think if it was like even if you're up 1, you milk it, but I don't like the idea that if he did do that, and if there was any chance that someone came back and blocked him, or did something like that, they were to be down. And that I think when you're losing, you just have to get that easy too.
I almost gave it out. I don't know why I didn't. It was a luckiest win ever. I had Paul Reed double plus 280 plus 290 something
Ice
like
in
that.
his veins.
He got it on the last free throws off that steal. He had like 6 points with like a minute left. He had all 4 of those free throws, which were clutch free throws, which give him credit. All right, last thing on this before we move on. Series
both
correct
of 'em.
score. Yeah, I mean all 4, and
I know. I'm just talking Grant Williams.
Yeah,
he made both of them.
So Celtics in 7 is plus 250. Celtics in 6 is plus 350. Celtics in 5 is 4-1. I don't like that.
That's a terrible price.
That's a terrible price.
It is.
But you're talking me that it's 2.5 to 1 in those 6 and 7s, but to basically gentleman sweep is 4-1. That's crazy.
I'm looking at Camby. Maybe DraftKings has better odds.
No, it's the same price on FanDuel.
Okay.
That's so weird.
Sixers in 6 is plus 450. Sixers in 7 is 8-1, which means you have to win game 7 on the road. Sixers in 5 is 12-1. Sixers to sweep is 16-1. Anything jump out to you? Anything worth a bet?
I feel like it's gonna be. I feel like it's gonna go 6. But I'm not putting 3.6.
Yeah, but say the
who's gonna win in 6? You think?
I think Boston in 6,
which would be 350. I would need more than that, and you got to win 4 out of 5. I don't know.
I think the one thing that's cool to see.
I don't trust Boston.
I don't know if you saw like people making the memes of like the Pat Bev, where it's like the Sixers after winning game 1. I don't know if you saw, but after that game when they were kind of cheering, James Harden very quickly shut out like the cheering and was like, "It's only game 1. It's only game 1." I like to see that from this team. That kind of I don't want to say Kobe mentality, but like a lot of the younger guys were kind of cheering heavily, and Harden really quickly brought it down. So I do like the fact that the Sixers are at least looks all focus seems to be ahead. So I hope I'm optimistic for my team.
And that was very nice of you to let him borrow your outfit from before the game. That was really a good
gesture. I mean,
I love it how everyone was dogging his outfit,
and then becomes bald. And then when he balls out, it becomes cool. Like
that's the society. That's the world we live in. You can show up naked and it's cool if you play well. Everything is forgiven. All right, I think we're good on that series.
Yeah, I mean,
we'll
I don't know if you want to.
No, go ahead.
I was gonna make a joke about Dylan Brooks showing up in.
Oh,
crazy
you guys
outfits.
had Brooks takes. What do you guys have for Brooks?
Yeah.
Because Shams reported it. He's not going to be back under any conditions. This isn't a shock. He ran his mouth. He shoots too much. He didn't answer the media. Memphis said, "See you later." What are you guys' thoughts on this?
I mean, we could kind of see it coming from a mile away, but I kind of want to see where would he fit? Like, dude's a 32% 3-point shooter who wants more volume.
Yeah.
Where does he go? Like, I think he's gonna have to spend some time in the gym to change his game, get better.
I think it's one of those things where we talk about James Harden wearing that crazy outfit. He has all that pre-game I'm this guy, but he doesn't have the finish, and it's really tough to be that guy without the results, because you put up with it if you're getting 45, or you put up with it if you're getting a Draymond Green maybe, who at least plays winning basketball. But when you're Dylan Brooks and you get all that antics without the on-court, actual basketball, it's really tough. And that's why I think I wanted to bring it up before we moved on to the next thing, because the way it was reported, the quote saying, not at all, no feet, they don't want any part of him.
Sabotaging his value too.
He was literally costing them games. He ignited the beast. He gets a crap ton of technicals. He's terrible at shooting. At what point do you have to know your role? Let's bring this in perspective of other players, like a PJ Tucker. Tucker he knows his role. In that game,
he took 0 shots yesterday.
When it was clutch time, he had that wide open 3-point, and he didn't take it. He knows his role. Dylan Brooks doesn't know his role. Dylan Brooks' ego has made him think that he's bigger than who he is. He is a 3-and-D guy who can't shoot. Just defend. And it's not that he's getting these wide open shots. It's he's taking shots early in the shot clock for 3. It's come on, man, be for real.
And I think that's one of the things where I hate when people hate on a guy like PJ Tucker for the exact reason you just said, because I'd much rather a guy play 40 minutes and impact the game in a great way than a guy to get benched early, play 23 minutes, shoot 0 for 17, and just kind of lose lose out of your team. So I would 100% pay a guy like PJ Tucker over getting a guy like Brooks on a cheap contract.
2 games tonight. We'll get to those in a minute. I will just quickly say on Suns Nuggets, and I'm curious what you guys think. Usually I wouldn't say this. Usually I would say, hey, a team's down 2-0. They're going to go home for game 3. They'll win. And then, hey, whatever happens in game 4, it'll either be tied or we'll see what the series will sort of reveal itself in game 4. I don't think that here. I think the series is over. I don't think the Suns have enough bodies. I think Paul's hurt. I think even with Paul, they didn't have enough bodies.
No.
Now, like, that's a really concerning box score to me if you're Phoenix, because Denver shot 7 of 28 from the 3. Murray was 0 for 9 from the 3. Denver played terribly, and you still couldn't win the game.
Put up 87 points, one of the worst defenses out there.
Yes. Durant made 2 threes. Booker made 4. Nobody else made a 3 for Phoenix. This team's not winning 4 out of 5
scored
games.
What, four or 6 bench points? I forget.
It's awful. It's awful.
They will say, do you know what the one thing is too? Is I was watching it where Jokic was going off and this and that, but at least they were making him work a little bit. But we talked about the lack of depth for Phoenix to the end of the first half. If you watch that, it's crazy. With 2 minutes left, Bismack Biyombo, he checks in for DeAndre Ayton. And if you look at the box score, it's Jokic free throws, Jokic 2-point make, Jokic 3, Jokic 2. Like, he scored, I think 9 points in the final minute 50. And it's just we talk about the lack of depth. If you don't have depth on your team, it's what killed him in the finals run against Giannis and against Drew Holiday and against these guys. They don't have the depth. And they haven't fixed it in 3 years. So it's
and the continuity too. I mean, there's a reason these teams have training camp and practice. Like, you can't, and I know part of it was Durant getting hurt after the trade, but they, like you said, they traded all their depth. They look like a mess. The coach has not impressed me. They got so
Jack
much
Landell getting absolutely bodied. Ayton lost on defense.
It's rough. Yeah. It's really rough. And they should have won that game last night. They're not. You guys agree the series is over or no?
Yes, and I am absolutely upset, fuming, when I literally talked about this on another show when the price was Denver plus 134, and someone said there is no way in hell Denver's winning. That's what they said word for word on the show, and it was the confidence in that statement made me not bet it.
We should have all seen the signals. We should have all been betting Denver when we saw how much Phoenix struggled with a Clipper team with no Kawhi and no Paul George.
So I had the box. I put the box score up because I was curious. Chris Paul was a +8. Josh Okogie was a ± of 0. Ayton was a ± of 0. But Greg, Landell, and Payne -9, -16, -9. That's what I mean. You can't have that big. I know ± is as a skewed stat. I'm not trying to say it's an MLB all, but you can't have that big of a drop off from your 5 guys that start. You can't have this drop off where you're talking +8 to -16. I know it's not the best stat in the world, but that is a 24-point swing from your 2 on-ball guards.
And when you play guys like Okogie, it's just somebody they don't have to guard, and it just clogs the floor. It makes it so much difficult for Durant and for Booker. I think, and you guys agree the series is over. Would you take the 4.5 tomorrow with Denver, or you think Phoenix gets it tomorrow?
I think Phoenix wins 1.
Yeah,
I think
they win 1 too.
I think they have to. I mean,
I wouldn't be shocked if it's a sweep. I really wouldn't.
Yeah. I will say, as someone that was kind of rooting for the Suns because I thought they could be that team, it's kind of sad to see. But I can't say I'm super shocked because, as you mentioned, the continuity and all this other stuff. But I would like to believe they come out firing at home, but who knows? Because they look lost at sometimes.
I just think if Denver gets a split, though, they'll win it in 5. I don't know that Phoenix is winning there. And that's, if you look at series correct score, Denver in 5 is +275 to me. That's I don't know if that's enough to bet, but that's probably the most likely outcome. Nuggets to sweep is +450. I don't hate that. I don't think we're getting even through game 6.
It just feels like, do you think that they're going to come back? How can they come back when the one game that was literally handed to them on a platter, they could not win?
Yeah.
Right. Totally agree.
I mean, we talked about before,
go ahead.
anything can happen. So, if they come back and win in 6, who knows? I'm not saying it's going to happen, but anything can happen in the league. But the biggest thing in this league is you need, as we said, if you're back against the wall, you need that 3-point variance to steal games. And when you're having a team shoot 31 threes and only having Booker and Durant make 6 of those 31, that's 25 3-point attempts from the other guys, with no makes. That's over 25. That is, how do you expect to win when you miss 25 threes?
And what happened is people were saying, oh, they don't get enough 3-point attempts. They don't make enough threes. They don't take enough threes. I think they heard that noise and it got back to them and they're just forcing these threes and they're taking bad threes. And I think Durant was 2 of 12. So look, like you said, they can win game 3 and who knows, they're home for game 4, they're favored. And if we're looking at 2-2, it's a whole new series. I think Denver's got this series.
The biggest concern I have is we talked about obviously before with depth is it's not just lack of depth. It's also, you talk about continuity. It's about knowing your depth. And last night, there was 4 teams that played. The Sixers, 8-man rotation. Celtics had 8.5. They had a 9-man rotation, but I believe Hauser and Williams played a combined 9 minutes. The Nuggets played an 8-man rotation. I believe the Suns played a 10 or 11-man rotation. And that's just so not what's supposed to happen in the playoffs. Like this is where your rotations get so cut down. And I believe they played an 11-man rotation, which is just, it kind of just shows that they're out there guessing a little bit, I guess. But that's very rare you see 11 different people play in a game in the playoffs.
How do the Suns get more depth over the offseason too? Like that's what's crazy to think. Like
sign Dylan Brooks.
Bam. Oh my God.
We fixed it. We fixed their 3-point shooting just like
and
that.
Their defense. No, we fixed their defense. Oh my God.
That's honestly not a bad fit.
It's not a bad fit at all because he has to do 0 on offense. Right.
I will say it's not a bad fit if you sit him down and you say, hey, we're gonna give you a minimum contract. Do not shoot unless you're open. Like you better
don't talk and don't shoot. Shut the fuck up and play defense.
Like just stand over there.
All right, games tonight. Should we get to these? Because these are good ones.
Yeah.
Especially Lakers Warriors. We'll start with Knicks Heat. We're down to 6 here. I gave it out at 4.5 the other day. I'm skeptical that Butler's going to play. I think with the bum ankle, I think they could sit him out.
Made a report.
He's at shoot around, but
I didn't read it enough. Hold on.
Good. That's a good update by Brad. Appreciate it, man.
I was just trying to remember.
There's an update. Thank you, Brad.
You're welcome.
That's like being a weatherman. Be like, yeah, we're gonna have some weather today.
We don't know what it's gonna be.
Back to you in the studio. Yeah, I did see you give it out, and I think it's funny that he's participated in shoot around. It was 6.5, and that news came out, and it dropped a point or half a point. Same thing happened with Joel Embiid, where he was at shoot around, and then the spread went from 11 to 9. Just because there's a difference between shooting a basketball out on an open court and playing in an NBA game. So
yeah,
we'll see. Because like I said, the Heat also have that same thing with the Sixers, where they got game 1. So
they don't have to play them.
It becomes a little bit more. You don't want to think that way, but at the same time, you
don't want to limp it around for the rest of the series, because if he's healthy, you're probably going to win. You got the best player, you got the best coach.
Yeah,
you might even have the second best player in the series, and you just shoot the ball so much better than Nick. So I think it's a get Butler healthy game. I know how tough and competitive he is. He's going to push to play. And I thought the Knicks did a terrible job not attacking him more the other day. He's limping around. Go after him. So what do you guys like for this game? Would you bet the -6? Do we think Butler plays? What's your takeaway here?
Do we think, like, how's Randall? Like, how's everyone's health? Like,
Randall is, I think Randall is listed as questionable, but at least from what I saw from the report that I actually did read, is it did look like he is trending towards playing. But man,
and Brunson?
I'm looking at Brunson's stock. I want to play Brunson's points tonight, but I just have to know who the hell is in this game first, which is the same thing as yesterday, where I think a lot of these lines are set not like kind of knowing where things are going to fall into place. Like I took Maxi's point at 23.5, but I waited until the Joel news because it was kind of set, expecting Joel not to play. So I'm not as worried about waiting for injuries in playoffs because the lines are not really going to move as much as you'd think because they're set for a reason. So if Randall's out or if Randall's in, you'll likely see me put it in the Discord. Brunson over in points. I mean, he scored 24 last game, but he went 0 for 7 from 3. I think I did it last game where he had a terrible game where he missed all his threes and then he came back and scored 30. So I think it's one of those spots where I think his points are going to be a little bit too low tonight. So I will take his over.
Anything on the spread for either of you guys?
I'm with you on the Knicks. I think Brunson playing well is directly correlated to the Knicks playing well. Because I think he's the difference maker for this team. So I think they have to win. I mean, this is where they have to win. I mean, they have the benefit of playing in the Garden, so they gotta take advantage of it before they're going to Miami.
Brad, anything for you here? No, nothing for me. I'll probably be just like Brian and beyond Brunson's points, but I'm literally just patiently waiting for my time to strike.
I got Knicks minus 4.5. I gave it out as soon as the game ended because of Butler status. And it went to 7.5. I took Miami plus 7.5. So if the Knicks win by 5, 6, or 7, I will be very happy. But my guess is the Knicks win it and win pretty comfortably. I'm skeptical Butler plays. How about series price before we move on to Lakers Warriors? Heat are minus $1.50 at DraftKings. Knicks plus 125. Too much uncertainty with the injuries. Anything you jump in on here?
Yeah,
Too
this
much
is a tough
uncertainty
one.
with the injuries, but I also was very uncertain to start the series. Like I leaned Knicks, but I mean I felt like it could be a gritty series regardless.
I will say I think this is a series I like props in, but I don't know if I like the series price. The Warriors, when we're about to get to, I don't know if I like props in that either. I hate betting on the Lakers. The Lakers are such a weird team to bet on, but in this case, there's just too many injuries where I hate betting playoffs because that's like saying, "Oh, I think Butler's hurt. Let me take the Knicks," and then he drops 60 on your head, and you're like, "All right, I guess he wasn't too hurt." So I hate trying to guess and gauge who's in, who's out, and how people are, how their health is.
All right, Lakers are minus 4.5 tonight. Total 227. Series price Warriors minus $1.50 or so. I'm getting the exact number. Warriors minus $1.45. To me, the Warriors is cheap. You got Curry. You got a potential game 7 at home. I just think there's going to be a
Home court
little bit.
advantage is so big for this
So
team.
big, and
Yeah,
I think there's just going to be culture shock for the Lakers when you're facing a Memphis team that can't shoot, bad half court offense. Davis could roam around. Now you got to be very disciplined. I don't know. Let's start. So I like the Warriors here. Who guards Curry? What do you guys take away on this game in this series?
I mean, Curry said it all when they asked, "Is anyone ever going to stop you?" And he says, "Hopefully, we don't
Hopefully
have to
no
find
one,
out." I mean, there is something dangerous about Curry having confidence. Like he always has confidence, but like to see him kind of getting that, I'm confident in the playoffs. We moved on.
Who do the
kind of
Lakers
thing.
try on him? Reeves?
Ooh. My God.
I love
man.
AR-15, but that is a nut.
Vanderbilt?
That's tough.
It's so tough.
I think Vanderbilt
because
is on Wiggins.
yeah, and then Rue just can't keep up with them. Like they don't have I guess Schroeder.
Schroeder, yeah.
Schroeder wouldn't be bad, but then that means
He's the only
limit Russell's
option,
minutes.
really. He's the only option because you don't want to give Steph Curry, you can put on like a guy like Rue or Vanderbilt that maybe can have the length, but you don't want to blow past the guys. I mean, Steph Curry is totally okay taking no threes and just destroying you in the inside and getting to the rim.
D'Angelo Russell revenge spot, put him on the Curry.
Yeah. I just think it's a matchup nightmare.
That was a joke. That was a joke.
I know you were, but I'm just trying to think about it where I guess you almost have to just hope Schroeder can limit him a little bit. But yeah, you honestly just hope he eats something bad before the game and just like has a bad shooting night. That's really your
sort of alien kidnapping situation. Yeah.
Yeah, that's really all you have.
Brad, anything for you? Game 1 series, anything?
I have a bet. Let me pull it up. Give me 1 second. All right, yeah. I'm going to be on Anthony Davis over 20. Oh my God, the line moved. Let me just make sure. Okay, I'm not going to be on it. It moved up to 25.5 now. It's plus 105.
Blocks or points?
Points. Blocks is 2.5 at minus 134. And I think that number is I'll pivot to that back to my points in a minute, but his blocks is over 2.5. And I think that number at minus 135 is absolutely absurd because you have to think about the offense that Memphis runs compared to the offense that Golden State runs. His block opportunities is going to be probably cut in half. So I wouldn't pay juice for that. For anybody who's listening, who's thinking about taking his blocks, like also, 2.5. Go ahead. Sorry.
I was gonna say, I thought you were done, so I was trying to cut in. I was gonna say his points on FanDuel are 24.5, so you can still give it out. It's minus 120.
Okay, minus 120. I'm gonna be on Anthony Davis. I guess I should lock that in. I'm gonna be on Anthony Davis over 24.5 points. I think he finishes on 25, but has a ceiling to go higher. If you look at like throughout the year, Golden State's really struggled against the power forward center positions, especially scoring bigs. And in this game, in this series, he's not going to have an elite defender on him. He's going to have to be aggressive if they want to win. Like this is the game. This is the series where he can't scoot by with scoring 13, 14 points. With Anthony Davis, it's always trouble with injuries, but I kind of don't care about that in game 1. I think he's going to have to score if they want to be in this game.
Yeah, I think there's nothing worse than us doing the show, talking about playoffs and talking about how the lines get really sharp, and then you look at them and you talk about it. I think that's a great play because I think it's a little soft. But yeah, we talk about Steph Curry, 31.5 points is his line, and it's like You just can't do that. That's such a good line to set because it's hard to take action either way.
Yeah.
The one thing I wanted to mention to piggyback off Davis is I can't bet it, but I think it's a big reason why the Warriors have the upper hand is Kevon Looney last series. I mean, not saying the Lakers are as bad as the Kings in the glass, but he had 9 offensive rebounds in Game 7.
Yeah.
Like, I know Anthony Davis is Anthony Davis, but who's going to prevent Looney on the offensive glass? Like, that's a really tough position to be at, and the Warriors are going to get 2 matchups back to back where offensive rebounding is going to be there for Looney. So if he can be aggressive and keep giving second chance points, it's hard enough to beat Curry and this Warriors team when they're scoring. But when they're scoring with more opportunities, it's a tough ask.
Speaking of rebounds, I like this number in a parlay. I'm not going to play it by itself, but I kind of like Vanderbilt to get at least 4 rebounds. With the 3-point shooting, he probably won't be on Steph Curry. He should have a lot more rebounding opportunities because the primary scorer he's not going to be on.
All right, before we get out of here, I'll give you the correct series score options here at DraftKings. You guys tell me what the best bet is. We'll give our predictions for this series, how many games, and then we'll get out of here unless you guys have anything else. Warriors in 7 plus 330. That's the short shot. Lakers in 6, 4-1. Warriors in 5 plus 500. Warriors in 6 plus 550. Lakers in 7 plus 600. Lakers in 5 plus 950. Warriors to sweep is 10-1. Lakers to sweep is 12-1. What you guys got?
I would say it's either 5 or 7 for the Warriors. I don't know if they win on the road for.
They just did though. I was going to say that
they
too,
did, but like for
did.
a closeout game, I
the
don't
last
know.
two, they won 5 and 7. It's so strange.
Yeah, which is like totally against that what everyone was saying, which is funny. But I feel like 5 or 7. Honestly, if you believe in the Warriors, you might actually. I'd have to do the math on it, but you might be able to save juice just taking 5 and 7 instead of the minus 160 for the series. But
I actually like 6 at plus 550.
6 is not bad.
It's so hard.
The Lakers won't get swept, right? Like the Lakers have too much firepower to even in.
Hey, those guys are brittle. Those one injury, Davis falls down and has to miss a week.
That's fair.
LeBron has to miss a week. That is a sweep.
The NBA wouldn't let LeBron get sweep though. It'd be one of those Scott Foster games in Game 4 if it was a 3-0.
Oh, there it is.
If it's 3-0 Golden State, you're gonna see Scott Foster's crew on Game 4.
Yeah, it's just like it's hard to believe that the Lakers win this series. Like the Warriors just played a very, very, very talented team, and they started out 0-2. The Lakers, I couldn't trust with a 5-foot pole, man. Like.
That was impressive Friday night. I've been as anti-Lakers as anybody. Man, that was impressive Friday night. I know that was a Memphis team.
Yeah.
That was scary.
I think that's the thing with Memphis.
They got to hit threes. Lakers got to hit threes.
If you're Memphis, you can't talk about that trash and lose by 40. Like you can lose maybe, but dude, elimination game, you score 85 and lose by 40. That's not where you want to be.
I think if you're the Lakers, if there's one to steal, it's tonight because the Warriors have played every other night since Wednesday. So this is 4 games in 6 nights. It's an older Warriors team. Lakers are more rested. I think if you could steal tonight, you got home court and you're in good shape. I think you can never say game 1's a must win, but I think this is a good opportunity to steal one here for the Lakers. So I don't know. Anything else to add?
No, I hope we win a lot of money in these series. I can't believe that I trusted the Suns when they were up 1. I bet on them to win the game at the start of the 3rd quarter. Was it? I think, yeah. And man, they went 0 for 8.
I will say my friend texted me this morning. He said I fell asleep on my couch. They're up 5. How the fuck did they lose by 10? Like it was like the 4th quarter, and I was like, dude, it was bad. Yeah, it was a rough watch.
Yeah, I had plus 5.5 too, which I didn't want to really talk about, but I lost a lot of money on that game, but.
Me too. I like the over, so I didn't give it out, but I really like the over. And that was one like 3 minutes in the game after about 12 bricks. You knew it was over, barring some sort of overtime. Man, they got good looks too. That was the frustrating thing. They got good looks, I thought.
Durant's turnovers were really weird.
Yep.
Yeah, Durant. Honestly, Durant did not look good. Like I feel like everyone's
had injuries. Yeah.
I feel like it's just funny because like he shot terribly. What was it? 2 for 12 from 3, I think. I believe it was just funny because I'm seeing all these reports. It's like, oh, Kevin Durant had an off day or whatever. And it's like you can say it. He didn't look good. Like I know it's Kevin Durant, but you can say he had a bad. Like, I just hate the thing where certain guys get shit on, and then other guys, it's like, oh, like those days happen. It's like
Yeah.
you could be the biggest Kevin Durant fan in the world, and you can objectively say, "Wow, he had a really poor game," and just move on from it.
Yeah,
Wow, Henry Ruggs will serve 3 to 10 years in prison according to a plea agreement.
Yeah. But you know, it's crazy they were saying they're like working him out to come back. I was like, I don't understand how. Like, it's not like he killed someone going like 60 miles per hour.
Right.
Like, he was, you know.
That's yeah. I mean, I kept seeing like my friend asked that. He said, "Do you think he'll be like how long do you think he'll be back in the league?" And I was like, "I don't think he's gonna be back in the league." I was like,
Yeah.
like,
All right, boys. Good luck with all your plays tonight. Pickett Sports, Goldboys. Check out everything. We'll be back Thursday, 1:00 Eastern. Tell all your friends. We appreciate you guys checking us out. Brad, Brian, we'll see you next time.